What is going on, guys? It's Bucky and welcome to your ninth Premiere Pro tutorial. And in this tutorial I'm going to be going over one of the most important panels and probably the last main panel tutorial I'm going to do, and that's the tools panel. Now that's all of this crap right here, but first of all, it bugs me that it's over on the bottom right because on all of the other Adobe products, it's over here on the left. So what I like to do is I like to drag this over all the way until it's placed right here. And again, this is just wasted space, so I'm going to drag it just like this. And that's how I have my interface set up all the time. I just didn't want to drag it over there because, for everyone out there watching, it's probably over here and I didn't want to get you guys confused. But this is how I always have my interface set up. So that's how I'm going to stick with this tutorial. So now let's go ahead and go through all of these tools. I'll go ahead and tell you what each one of them does and also tell you the hotkey for them. Now the hotkey is if you're too lazy to go and click on the tool, you can just use a keyboard shortcut and see how the tools are switching back and forth. So the very first tool is the selection tool, and the hotkey for this is V. Now the selection tool is the tool that you're going to use 90% of the time. It's your main tool. You go ahead and use it to select clips. You can go ahead and move clips, and you can go ahead and actually, if you go to the end of a clip, for example, this title is 5 seconds long and you want to make it longer, just go ahead and go to the end of the clip, and then it's going to change into two little arrows with a bracket. Pull this out, so now your title is 10 seconds long instead. And this works the same with a video clip. Again, you can't make it any longer because, hey, you only filmed for like 11 minutes. You can't say, oh, what would happen if I saw the future? So you can make it shorter by doing that. But again, you can't make it longer than you originally filmed for because, it has no way of knowing what you filmed in the future. So pretty much the selection tool is for selecting clips, moving stuff around, and changing the length. The other tool we have right underneath it is a track select tool, and that's A. Now let me go ahead and show you guys an example of when this would be handy. Whenever you have multiple things on the same track, you can select them individually by using the selection tool, or if you want to select them all at once, you can go ahead and hit the track select tool, and now once you select it, it selects the entire track. So for example, if you had a title, a video, and an ending title, you can just go ahead and hit this real quick, and it's going to select everything on video 1 and also audio 1 since they're linked together. Now a ripple edit tool, and the hotkey for this is B. What this does is it here, let me go ahead and demonstrate this. So now we have a title that's about 10 seconds long, and I know you don't know how to cut, but now we have a video that's 10 seconds long. So if we put them side by side, just like this, using the selection tool, we see that, alright, this is 10 seconds long, this is 10 seconds long. Basically, our entire movie is 20 seconds long. So what the ripple edit tool is going to do is if we go ahead and select it or hit B, it's going to change a length of a clip, but the other clips on the track adjust accordingly. So pretty much they don't change any other clips in any other way. So in order to use this, say you wanted to change the length of this title from 10 seconds down to 5 seconds. So go ahead and put your current time indicator at 5 seconds, and now slide this right to 5 seconds, and now check it out. Your title is now 5 seconds long, but the rest of your movie, it doesn't change. So it pretty much changes the duration of one clip or one image, but it leaves everything else the same. However, this next tool under it, the rolling edit tool, is a little bit different. It pretty much does the exact opposite of the ripple edit tool. It keeps the total length of your entire movie, but it changes both of these durations. For example, whenever we slid this, it didn't change this one at all? Well, check it out now. Now whenever we slide this, for instance, we want to make this title 15 seconds long, it's going to go ahead and bump that video so it shortens this. So pretty much here's what I'm saying. Whenever you use the ripple edit tool, it doesn't mess with the other clips at all. It doesn't alter 36. Whenever you're using the rolling, it does change the clips. It does alter other clips. So again, I really don't like to use those tools because I really just like to do it with the selection tool and I really only use the selection tool and the cut tool, to be honest, because everything else is kind of advanced and it's really easy to see whenever you use these two basic tools. So anyways, aside from that, I can go ahead and talk about another tool now, and that's the rate stretch tool, and that's this thing right here. What the rate stretch tool does is it pretty much takes a clip, and let me go ahead and hide this temporarily so we're only looking at video 1. It takes a clip and it pretty much changes the, I want to say, changes the speed of it. So you see how this clip starts out with me looking down, and it kind of ends with me with my eyes closed. Well, that total length of time that that takes to happen is 10 seconds. However, with the rate stretch tool, we can do it in 20 seconds, and now that entire motion is going to go twice as slow. So it's pretty much, if we play it now, everything's going to be in slow motion, and I'm like talking like this. However, if we take that entire clip and make it only half the time, now everything is going to be super speed. I'm going to be talking like this, like a regular fast forward. So that's what that does. It pretty much, unlike, just the selection tool, whenever you're taking a piece off the end, or, you want to start at a different time, it slows the clip down or speeds the clip up. Now, the last tool I want to talk to you guys about, well, not the last tool, but the last really important one, is the razor tool. It's probably my second most used tool after the selection tool. What it pretty much does is it takes a clip and it splits it in two. So, for example, I want to take this clip and I want to add a title in between. So I would go ahead and get rid of my title first, and I would split this in two with a razor tool, and with a selection tool, I would move it apart, add my title in between, and now move it back together. So pretty much the movie stops, and then you can see the title and it picks up right where it leaves off. So that's what the razor tool does, and since the hotkey is C, I call it the cut tool, but it really isn't called the cut tool. But if I call it that, don't hate. So that's what that does, and these other tools, I'm really not a big fan of them, but I guess since you guys are probably going to yell at me if I don't cover them, I'll tell you guys about the slip and the slide tool. I never use the slip and the slide tool because I absolutely hate them, but the slip tool, it pretty much changes the duration whenever you have 3 clips in a row. You know what? I changed my mind. I'm not even going to talk about them because they're really advanced kind of technique for editing, and we're just here to cover the basics. But whenever you have 3 clips in a row, then these things do some really weird things. Now the pen tool, let's just go ahead and skip down to this. The pen tool lets you add keyframes. For example, before when I told you guys that you can change the opacity by selecting a clip and going under here and making keyframes with this, or you can go ahead and just change it right here and it add a keyframe. Well, you can also add it right on the timeline by using the pen tool. Say you wanted to add a keyframe right here, and maybe right here, and right here. Then you can go ahead in your effects controls and switch from keyframe to keyframe, and maybe fade this one out and fade this one out too, and now you have a really weird looking clip. So it's pretty much all the pen tool is an alternative way to make keyframes. That's it. Now the rest of these tools are really simple, so if you guys feel like you're getting overwhelmed, then trust me, I'm about to dumb things down a whole lot. All the hand tool does is it's basically the same as this thing right here. You can go ahead and drag on your timeline and move it around. Really simple, really boring. I never use it. I just go ahead and use this all the time. Now the zoom tool is even more simple. Say you're zoomed out and you're like, alright, I want to work on this piece specifically. Just go ahead and maximize over there. Ugh, I had to hiccup. And let go, and there you go. It just zooms in. Say, alright, I want to work on these 2 keyframes. Zoom in, and there you go. So again, I like to use this zoom tool instead. So basically there are 3 different ways you can zoom. On this thing right here, which I never use because it's annoying, this little bar at the bottom, which I use 100% of the time, or this tool, which I guess if you like using the tools, there you go. So that's basically all I have to cover on the tools. Again, slip and slide are really some weird editing techniques, and you're never really going to use them unless you're like making a full motion picture movie. But for now, we're just covering the basics, so don't really worry about that. So thank you guys for watching this tutorial, and in the next tutorial, I'm probably just going to go over the rest of these panels real quick because yes, they're useful, but we really don't need to concentrate on them as much as, to go over every single thing like we did with the effects controls or the tools. So the rest of the panels are probably just going to take one tutorial, and then we're going to get to the really cool stuff and showing you some really cool tricks. So again, you started out as a noob, and hopefully you got a better understanding of Premiere Pro right now. So in the upcoming tutorials, I'm going to take you to an intermediate Premiere Pro user to a total professional. So that's what you have to look forward to. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys then. What is going on, guys? Welcome to your 10th Premiere Pro tutorial, and in this tutorial what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing something a little different than how I have been teaching you. Up to this point, I've been kind of teaching you the theory, what everything is, pretty much just giving you the information, but we never really put everything into practice, and I never showed you actually how to edit a final video. So here is how I edit a final video. Here's how everything kind of gets pieced together. The very first thing I do is start a new project and move my tools, pretty much set up my workspace exactly how I want it to be set up. So that looks pretty good, right like that, looking pretty good. So now what I need to do is import everything I need. I like to import everything first. So I'm going to go ahead and file import and say I want to edit the podcast from 9.8. So what happens is we shoot our podcast with two different camcorders, one that's mostly on me and one that's mostly on her, or closer to me and closer to her. So here is one video clip, and let's see, 35 and 108 is the other one. So I'm going to go ahead and import both of these video files, and again, as you can see, one of these is closer to me and the other one is closer to her. So they're pretty much shot the exact same time, just two different angles. So aside from that, check this out. The microphone that are on the camcorders already, they're pretty crappy microphones. So that's why we have these awesome microphones in this mixer right here to get really good crystal clear audio. So we're going to have three separate pieces of audio. The audio from this camcorder, the audio from this camcorder, and the separate audio that we recorded on our computer, and that nice crystal clear audio is the audio that we want to use. So I'm going to go ahead and import that right now, and that's what this file is. It's pretty much the perfected crystal clear audio instead of the camcorder's audio, and I'm going to show you how to swap those out a little later on. But for now, we need to import one other thing, and that is the main title picture. So go ahead and hit File, Import, and I have it under Downloads, and that's this right here. So if I go ahead and double click that, I can preview. Yep, that's what I want to use for the main title. So the very first thing that I need to do is I need to sync up this video clip, and this audio, since all of this stuff was filmed at the exact same time. So go ahead and take 35 and drag it out on your timeline and leave some space so you can move some things around. Now go ahead and take 108 and drag that out too, and we want them kind of on top of each other, and we're going to go ahead and expand that. Now if we look, I want to show you guys something. What I do to sync everything up, let me go ahead and double click 108. In order to sync everything up, what I do is I have Lola clap, and the moment she claps, we can see that if we look right here, we get a nice little peak. So that is why I have people clap, and if you ever see in the movies they have that white board with black marks on it that they're like, alright, scene 1, shot 2, action, and they snap it. That's why they snap it, so they can line everything up when they get this nice audio peak right here. So here is when she's clapping in this film, in this clip, and here is when the clap is in this clip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit unsnap, and I need to line up these claps. So they look pretty lined up right there, but I'm going to go ahead and zoom in even further. And by the way, here's a nice little tip. If you go ahead and select one of these tracks, hold down Alt on your keyboard and hit left and right, it's going to move it one frame to the left or right. So go ahead and line it up as close as you can. So now these tracks are pretty much synced together. If we go ahead and play these, it's going to sound like one piece of audio. Again, this is pretty much syncing up our audio from both the camcorders. That's what I'm doing now. However, remember, like I said, this is the crappy audio, these two audio files right here. The good one we want is this one. So go ahead and drag this out on your timeline and expand it. And now what you need to do is we need to listen for the clap. So let me go ahead. Nope, that wasn't the clap. Maybe this is the clap right here. Yep, I just heard it. I know you guys can't hear it because I'm not recording the computer, I'm recording me talking. But this is the clap from this nice audio file that I need to line up with the video. And then once I line all this up, my video is going to be synced up with my audio file. So let me go ahead and move this over. And by the way, that's why I said to not butt everything against 0, 0, because if everything's butted up against 0, 0, we're not going to have space to move this crap around. So let me go ahead and sync this up. And let me just make sure I got the clap. Yep, here's the clap right here. So let me go ahead and zoom in. And what I'm going to do is select this file, hold down Alt on my keyboard, and move this left until I line it up perfectly. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in all the way and check it out. Now everything is synced together. But you guys are saying, alright, it's off a little bit, Bucky, I can see. Well, check it out. Each of these lines is 1/30th of a second. So they might not be precisely exact. This is about 1/60th of a second off, but your brain is never going to be able to recognize that. So get them as close as you can and it'll be fine. So now pretty much this clip from this camcorder, this clip from this camcorder, and this piece of audio, everything is synced together. However, if I play it now, I have 3 different audio tracks. It kind of sounds like 3 people are talking in the background because I have this audio, which is the crappy audio, and this final audio. So what I'm going to do is I need to get rid of this audio and this audio. What I could do is go ahead and take the volume and bring it all the way down, but it's just going to be there and in the way. So here's what you need to do. If you go ahead and try to delete it, then it's going to delete both the video and the audio. So what you need to do is you need to highlight the track, right click it, and hit unlink. What that's going to do is it's going to unlink the audio from the video. So now you can move the audio separately. And you can go ahead and delete that now and do the same with the other track. Go ahead and unlink that, and now the audio and the video are separate. Now you can go ahead and delete that. Now what we want to do is we want to make sure not to move any of these because everything is synced up. So what you can do is go ahead to a certain point of time and turn snapback on. And now go ahead and move everything to that current time indicator. And now everything is synced up at this very same point in time. So now I'm going to go ahead and hit play, and both video clips and audio clips, everything is synced up perfectly. So now I can zoom in and I'm going to figure out where do I want to start this video. So I zoom in and look. So obviously I start to talk right around here, as you can see from the audio. So instead of pulling everything right like that, I mean I can do it this way, but an easier way, since everything is already synced up, is highlight all of these and pull them all there at once. And now I have both video files and one audio file starting at the exact same time. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom out, highlight everything, and bring that all to 0, 0. And now I have both video files and the audio file, which is the clean, perfect audio file, playing exactly where I wanted it to play and starting it where I want it to start. So there's a bunch of other stuff to cover on editing this. It's taken a little longer than I thought, but hopefully you got a better idea of how to edit video. And if you have 2 different camcorders, that is how you sync things up. Again, make sure you clap at the beginning so you can see visually, because check this out. If you were just looking like this and have a bunch of different files that look like all of this crap, it would be really confusing to try to line that up. It's like a putting a puzzle together. However, if you have one peak, it's really easy to see. So that's why people clap at the beginning, so they have one little piece of audio that they can see and line that up really easily. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. In the next video, I'm going to show you what I do next and how to make this video into a professional looking podcast. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Alright guys, welcome to your 11th tutorial, and in this tutorial it's kind of part 2 of how to edit a real live video. So let's go ahead and, well, in the last tutorial, let me remind you guys that what we did is we got a cool starting point, and now all of our video and audio is synced up. So say we wanted to take this video, which was about 10 minutes long, and we want to split it up into 2-minute segments because, you know, people on YouTube, their attention span isn't that long, so we want to kind of shorten up some of the videos. So say here's a good ending point right here, and if you look at your audio, then you can see whenever you have a break, then it's usually a good time to end a video because you don't want to end it like right here because you're in the middle of a sentence or a word. So whenever you take a break, maybe breathe or something, that's usually a good time to end the video. So we're probably switching topics and thinking of what to say right here, so I'm going to go ahead and take my selection tool, or just hit V, and I'm going to go ahead and bring all the clips to that current time indicator. Right there, and make sure you have snap on, because whenever you have snap on, it's going to snap right to that red line. Now if we zoom in, all of those clips are ending at the exact same time. So now we got our starting point and ending point, and every single clip and every single audio file is the exact same duration. Pretty cool, huh? So now let me go ahead and hide track number 2, and as you can see, track number 1 is of me and track number 2 is of Lola. So whenever I'm talking, I like to have track number 1 showing, and whenever Lola's talking, I like to have track number 2 shown. So what I do is I go through and I switch from track to track, but before I do that, I want to mention this. I'm going to want to do something called applying levels, pretty much adjusting the contrast to these video clips. However, if I start slicing everything up right now, I'm going to have to apply levels to every one individually. So what I like to do is in my effects, I'm going to go ahead and search for levels right now and apply it to track number 35. And if I go ahead and hide this one, I can see the levels on this. I usually like to put them around 10 and 45, and now I know I didn't tell you guys about this, but you can also copy effects and on other tracks paste them as well. So now all the levels that were on this track are now on this track. So I don't know if you guys can see this or not on YouTube, but if I click hide effect and show effect, do you see that there's kind of a contrast now? Let me go ahead and change that even more. Put it at 20 and 235. Maybe that will be more apparent. Alright, let me go ahead and do that to both tracks. Again, I really don't like to boost up levels that much, but just for demonstration purposes, I'll go ahead and boost them up like that. So now I have levels applied to this track and this track, which pretty much corrects the color in a way. So now that I got all the effects I wanted to apply, I'm going to go ahead and go through my movie and listen. Whenever Lola's talking, I'm going to go ahead and hit cut, or just to see with my keyboard, and hit cut and cut. And if I hit V and select that track, I can take it out. Now check out what's happening. Whenever Lola's talking, the camera's on her, and now whenever I'm talking, the camera's on me. So remember I said this is kind of like a spaceship with a laser shooting down, and whatever the laser hits first, that's what's going to show up. So let me go ahead and delete that, and I'll show you guys something else. So let's say I want the camera to focus on Lola 3 times because maybe she's talking 3 times during the podcast. So I'm going to go ahead and cut here, 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 and here, and I think that should be good. So I'm going to take out this piece, and I don't know, this piece right here. So now during the podcast, I'm going to be talking, she's going to be talking, I'm going to be talking, she's going to be talking, I'm going to be talking, she's going to be talking, and then we end it on me. And another thing I want to notice, if you say, alright, in my audio file, Lola starts talking here, but the clip is right there. go ahead and just go ahead and grab your selection tool and bring that. This pretty much changes the starting point of it. The one thing that you need to make sure you don't do is you can't change the position of it like this. You can go ahead and change the starting point by dragging it, but if you change the position like this, then you're going to go ahead and it's going to unsync the video from the audio, and the lips are going to be moving, but she isn't going to be talking. So then you can go ahead and slice everything up, and you're going to cut everything accordingly, and there you have it, your final product. Pretty sweet, huh? So you can go ahead and save it just like this, but I'm not done just yet. I went ahead and I added my levels, and I went ahead and I clipped everything, but now I need to go ahead and add the title at the beginning and at the end, and I also need to show you guys how to export the final video so it is awesome quality for YouTube. Now there are a bunch of settings that you need to watch out for, so you definitely don't want to check out the next video, you definitely want to check out the next video. So thank you guys for watching, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Alright guys, welcome to the last part of editing a podcast video, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how I add the titles and how I make the final product that looks awesome for YouTube. Now it's going to be different, your settings, depending on whether you want to put it on a DVD or YouTube, but since I love YouTube, I might as well show you guys how to do that. So the very first thing I like to do is this. Let me go ahead and zoom into the beginning and start playing. Okay, that video looks pretty cool, but at the beginning, I mean, it's kind of bland. I just don't want people to start playing my YouTube videos without, getting some logo promotion out there. So I'm going to go ahead and take this clip right here, which is pretty much an image, and use that as my introduction. So go ahead and drag that on video 3 because, we really don't want to mess with video 2 right now. And now let's go ahead and play this. So by default, pictures play for 5 seconds and then they stop. Okay, so let's go ahead and check that out in the program monitor again. It just plays and then it cuts to the video. Not that interesting. So what I want to do is I actually want this to fade in and fade out. So go ahead in the effect controls. We're going to mess with the opacity of this title. So go ahead and expand opacity, and again, make sure you have your title selected. If you have something else selected, it's going to change the opacity of that. So you definitely don't want to do that. So I'll do the fade in for about 1.5 seconds. So about 1.5 seconds in, I'm going to change it to 100%. Then at 0, 0, 0, I'm going to change it to 0. So between 0 and 1.5 seconds, it's going to fade in just like that. And now for the last second, I'm going to go ahead and change this to 100% and have it fade out to 0. So now whenever I play it, the title fades in, stays at 100, and then it fades out to 0. So now that I'm looking at it, I kind of like how it fades into the video, just like that. But whenever the title's fading in, it's kind of weird seeing that background video for kind of, 1.5 seconds. I wish that it kind of faded in from black. So we have a couple options of doing that. Again, what I'm trying to say is I really don't like how it fades in and you see us in the background, but I do like when the title fades out that it goes into the video. So we need to change this beginning section right here where you can see the title and us. So again, like I said, we have a couple options. What we can do first is we can go to this video, and for the opacity we can change this to 100, and right before we can change it to 0. So if we go ahead and we hide this title, what happens is the video is black and then it suddenly pops up to 100, or there is a better method. We can go ahead and let me go ahead and delete these keyframes. So our video is normal, there aren't any keyframes on this. What we can do is add something called a black video. And a black video is exactly that. It's a video of no sound, just plain black screen. So in order to get one of those, you can either create a black picture like in Photoshop or something and import it, or hit new item, black video. And it's going to say pretty much, do you want a black video? And we're going to say, yeah, of course we want a black video. That's what we just told you. So go ahead and drag this out on the second one, on the second track right there. And now, check it out, whenever we fade in, it now fades in from black, Instead of having us in the background, we now fade in from black, gives us a much more professional look. However, I said I only want to fade in that way, I don't want to fade out that way. Whenever I fade out, I do want to fade into us talking. So what I can do is just go ahead and take that black video and move it so it stops halfway through. So now when we're fading in, we have the black video behind it. So check it out in my program. As we're fading in, we fade in from black, and then when it's at 100, it fades back in to the video. So that's how I do my podcast, if you're wondering about that little trick. Any of my recent podcasts you can check out, and yes, that is how I do my awesome introductions. And now to end my podcast, here's what I do. It's a lot more simple. I just go ahead and drag that title out there, and now let me go ahead and zoom in to the end. Again, you want to make sure that it snaps to the ending point so your video and your title is synced up with the end. Now again, all I need to do is, since we don't need a black background for this, I'm going to go ahead and select my title, and for the opacity of this, about, I don't know, I want to say a second in or so, hit 100 and then make it fade in from 0. So it goes from 0 to 100 just like that. And now let me go ahead and play like the last 10 seconds. See that? And now you don't need a black background behind that because this is totally opaque. So that is why sometimes whenever you have a buffer in between, like a video, you want to add that black video, and sometimes you don't. So that's how I fade in and fade out my introductions on the podcast. So if you want to use that technique, you can. If you have an alternative technique, feel free to use that too. So you're saying, alright, I watched this video over and over again, probably the best video ever recorded and ever made on YouTube. So now how do I get the finished product? If I go ahead and hit File and Save, that's just going to go ahead and save this entire project. I want a final video. Well, here's what you need to do. Go ahead and hit File, Export Media. And this is pretty much saying, alright, how do you want to save your video? Do you want to save it as a flash file, as a move.avi? The best format for YouTube is this, F4V, and it's this, 1280 by 720, and at your highest settings you can. So it's going to be 1280 by 720. Any video that you have that's 16 by 9 is going to fit awesomely in YouTube Player. And of course, the bitrate is pretty much how much quality is it on your video. So you want that as high as possible. But anyways, there's a preset on F4V that's 1280 by 720 with a 4500 bitrate, and that's going to give you awesome quality. So now you just go ahead and hit export, and that's going to go ahead and take this final video and turn it into a video that you can load to YouTube, because right now you can't just go ahead and load this project onto YouTube because this is an Adobe project. It's not like a final video. So that's why you need to export it into a final video. So again, there's a lot of weird settings in this export that we can go over, but for the purposes of this tutorial, I just want to give you guys a real quick and dirty way to do things. So that's what you choose. And again, if you want to name it something different, go ahead and output name. You can name it whatever you want here. So that is how you're going to do that. I'm not going to go ahead and export it because it takes like 2 minutes to process, and I really don't have time to sit here and talk about nothing for 2 minutes. So for now, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.